Alright, simple workout for today. Now, it's not 200 squats simple or 500 squats simple. What I'm doing here are like one leg hip thrusts, and I'm also doing supersetting those with 60 squats, so just 3 sets. And I feel like I was basically able to cover like most of my bases when it came to my legs for just those two movements. Besides my calves, of course, you almost never see me do any calf raises or any direct calf work because I find it so incredibly boring. Um, I jump rope, or like recently, as of recently, I have been jump roping, so there's a chance I might see some like calf growth or whatever in the in that department. But I don't know. At the same time, I'm not super duper worried about that because it's like I already just don't want to do calf raises to begin with. So I'm obviously not super passionate about growing my calves or whatever. But yeah, so with these movements, the sissy squats and the single leg hip thrust, they're like again, those are both pretty effective bodyweight movements. So when you elevate your legs on the hip thrust, you get a lot more hamstring activation there, especially when you switch to one leg. Now that of course depends on your own strength levels. If you can't even start like elevating your feet on a hip thrust, of course just start on the ground. Start with your feet on the ground, and then work your way up to getting on a chair. But honestly, you don't have to go any higher than how my chair was. You don't have to go any higher. Like if you can keep your knees at a 90-degree angle when your back is flat on the ground, that's probably like the most ideal situation. But if you really, really do want to feel your hamstrings a lot more, working a lot more, I'd say doing the hip thrust on rings is like a great variation of the hip thrust because your hamstrings are having to do just like a lot more. They're having to work like overtime in order for them to better stabilize, just your hips and everything in your body. Uh, but I'm not saying that like as if this single leg variation I did here with just the chair was bad. It was very good. I was only able to do 5 reps each leg, so it's like it's still obviously very much challenging to me. So it's like again, don't give up on just your body weight. There's so many ways you can do things and you can angle things in order to give yourself new challenges. And with the 60 squats, bro, I swear I did like 8 on my first set. I only did like 8. And it could have been because like my form, I like that I had it's pretty good form. I was really making sure I leaned back and I was getting very deep into the knees over the toe position. And I kind of held it there for a second. So I was only able to do 8, and then I think on the last set of 60 squats I did like 5. So again, it's like again, very effective, very effective. Now I do prefer to do body weight squats just because I just like body weight squats. I just like that exercise. But it's like I'm a bit I'm trying to conserve my time. So and I knew that I wanted to do something for my hamstrings. If I wasn't doing anything for my hamstrings, then I probably would have just done like 200 squats or 100 squats or something like that. But instead of me sitting around in between my sets, doing nothing, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do 60 squats because originally I was gonna do like 100 squats after I did the hip thrust, but it's like I'm like what, no, let me try and use my time a bit better. So yeah, and it's very important for you to work your hamstrings. There aren't many ways, especially for someone as like a beginner, to like really work their hamstrings in calisthenics. The only thing I can recommend are going to be hip thrusts and back extensions. Those two are very important, just when it comes to just glute overall like posterior chain development and glute development, and of course hamstring development. So when you have better hamstrings, bigger hamstrings, it's also way better for your knee and way better for performance when you're like running and jumping and stuff like that. And it's also just going to allow you to be able to perform better when you're doing your squats because now so the hamstrings does like a lot of stabilization and supporting. So with a bigger and better muscle, it's able to better support the quad and the knees and the calves and everything like that, and your hips especially. So it's very important to try and find ways to train your hamstrings. This is one of the ways, as you can see here. On the channel, I've done mostly, I'd say mostly, hip, not hip, but back extensions. So it's like, choose whichever one you want to choose. Maybe you want to do both of them. It doesn't matter as long as you're just making sure you're relatively trying to train your body in a more holistic sense. And I feel like I was kind of able to achieve that just with these two exercises. And one thing too is like my abductors are still pretty sore from like the 30 down squats the other day. So I knew that 60 squats wouldn't really get in the way with my abductors, since I'm just kind of going like a straight down motion instead of like my legs kind of being turned outwards. Because like, believe it or not, the bodyweight squat, like taken to certain intensities, it can get every muscle of like the lower body involved. Like I've had my lower back literally be sore because of just doing hundreds and hundreds of bodyweight squats, and even my calves and my ankles. So yeah, 60 squats just kind of like lighter, you know. So I guess it's like kind of like more towards recovery, but that's about it. So yeah.